Hello everybody, and today we are going to get into some machining using Fusion 360, and we're going to start with modeling this practice block that we have here. It's kind of like, I don't know, I just made this thing up just to get a bunch of different operations into so that you can learn how to use some of the CAM functions here. So here's the actual block, and if I go into the manufacturer suite of Fusion 360, we can see the two different setups that we're going to be creating, and then also we can click through and I could show you all the different operations that are happening here from this side over to here. And we'll talk more about them as we get to them, but let's go model the block real quick so that we can do all this. All right, turn those off, and let's open up, and we'll open up a new tab, and I'm going to show you how to model the block, and then we'll come back to here to show you how to set up the actual operations. Now, all of the dimensions for this block are on the attached sheet or drawing file that I've created. Basic drawing file should have everything there. I have one in front of me because I don't remember some of these. But essentially, it's the same size block that we used to create our letters that we did the manually wrote the G code for. All right, so we're going to start here. I'm going to go create a new sketch on this XY plane right here. I'm going to start with a 2-point center rectangle right here, and that is going to be 1.875 by 2.75. Now, these dimensions are slightly smaller than the 2x3 block that we're doing, because then it allowed the machine to cut and make this block the exact size it is. Okay, and then we are just going to do an extrusion sketch. We are going to extrude up 0.75 inches. That's our basic block right there. Then I'm going to come in on the top here, create a sketch, and we can see that it's offset a little bit on the inside of 0.1875, 0.125. So I can actually come in with a rectangle here, like this. Right, draw it like that, then dimension here to here. Oop. Then I can come in and dimension, hit project on that surface. So that's P. So now I can be able to do these offsets. All right, so I can come in like this, and I know that's 0.125 there. Here is 0.1875, like that. And if you just want to double check that it occurred all the way around, right? 0.125 is there. And that's good. All right, so 0.188 just rounded up from 0.1875. All right, we've finished the sketch of that. And we are going to extrude down 0.25. So extrude that surface, negative 0.25. And that extrudes down. So that's our first extrusion in. Then we're going to come in and create a sketch on that surface. Use the line tool, or N. Actually, sorry, let's project first that surface. Hit OK. Line right from one corner to the next, like that. Finish sketch. So now we have two that we can extrude down. And this further one, it actually doesn't matter for us which one you do. But I'm going to click on this surface, do an extrude down of negative 0.2. Like that. So extruding down, make sure it's uncut. Good. So that is that side of the block done. Let's flip it over, and we'll extrude up those little nubbins, whatever you want to call them. Start sketch there. Those are 0.25. So I'm going to come in on here, just draw a circle of 0.25, and then I'm going to dimension that. So I'm going to have to hit project sometimes, just as a surface. So I project the geometry of all that. And it is in from the surface 0.25 in both directions, like that. Now what we're going to do is we are going to finish sketch. I will extrude up. That is 0.1, I believe, looking at my drawing. And now I'm going to do a rectangular pattern of that. So I'm going to hit features, let's click that, directions. I want this direction and that direction, so two directions. And basically I can pull these like this and like that. And let's see if I can get the spacing correct. So if we go like this, the spacing vertically is it should be 0.6875, right? Now if you look, that should be correct. And then the spacing going along this way should be 1.125. See how that looks. Oops. Three like that. And let's hit OK. Let's see how that looks. Now we can actually, if we go into here, let's just double check. All right. And I'm going to hit project all that of a couple of these things. I'm just going to project them so I can get dimensions to make sure that the dimensions are correct. So I can go up to inspect, click here. All right, so that is 0.25. And now from here, okay, inspect, from here to here is 0.25. So we're all good. Looks like that dimension is good. So then if we double check here, right, 0.25. Inspect again, and 0.25. Now if you follow the directions, you should be good to go. So it's a step that's not needed. It's just showing you how to use the inspect tool. And that now is the finished block. There we go. That's what we need. All right, so now make sure you save this. Click save. And I'm just going to go flip over onto my practice block now. It's right here. So that is basically how you make the block. Okay. Now, if you have a little bit different method you want to make it, you're more than welcome to. But that is what you need. Now we are going to go into the manufacturer setup. So remember, last time we only did the 2D setup in the 2D setup for CNC plasma cutter. So now we're going to go manufacture. Okay. These are the tool paths. So I'm just going to go through the different tool paths quickly with you and then into the actual settings for them. So we're going to do a number of different tool paths. The first one we're going to do, so we're going to machine this in two setups. Okay, so you see setup 2 and setup 3 there. So this setup, right, is the first one. And notice my work coordinate system is X, Y, Z, up like that. So we're doing this section first. Then what we're going to do is we're going to come in, flip the block over to do these right here, and that's going to be my second setup. So two setups, multiple operations in each setup. So let's take a look at the first one here. So that's my first setup, like that. I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Then we are going to do a facing operation first to cut the material off the top, followed by just a 2D pocket. Then I will show you an adaptive pocket, a contour to clean up the edges and come in with a smaller tool, repeating that for the bottom. And then we are going to do a 2D contour around the top here to machine away and get us that with that final, or one of the final shapes. We then going to come around, flip the block over, face off material on the top again. So the facing gives us a very quick operation to clean and clear off a good amount of material. A 2D adaptive to clear away that, and then a 2D contour to come around and clean up around the edges of those little pegs, whatever you want to call them. Okay, so the first thing we are going to need to do is create a tool library with all the tools that we need to do this. So we have a number of different tools that we are going to do this. The first one, so if I click the drop down here, we have a 3/4 inch flat end mill. That's what we're going to be using. A 1/4 inch flat end mill. there, right, and an 1/8 inch. So I'm just going to write these down so I can show you how to do it. So 3/4 inch face mill, 1/4 inch end mill, and a 1/8 inch end mill. Those are the ones we're going to be using there. And when we go to the other side, click there, same thing, right? 3/8 end mill, and also 3/8 there. So I'm going to add that to my list as well. 3/8 inch end mill. So those are 4 tools that we are going to need to create. So let's do that first. Let's create these. All right, so these are just basically numbers off the top of my head. Nothing too crazy, but they're going to get us where we need to go. So we're going to go to Tool Library up on top. Go to Library over here, and you're going to hit the plus sign. The first one we're going to do is going to make the face mill. So we go over to face mill, right? And we can call it a BT30 3/4 inch face mill. Cutter, face mill, inches, good. Number of flutes, 3, high-speed steel. Now the diameter, like we said, is 0.75. So this is really small, but we're just using it for the simulation. Shaft diameter, let's go 0.5. It's going to be slightly smaller. Overall length is 2 inches. And length below tool holder, let's do 1 inch. So you see how it's updating over there. We'll keep all of this stuff the same here. Shaft, don't worry about holder. Just we're going to use a regular BT30 up on top. So click on it, select holder, and there you have it. Cutting data, we're going to leave it at the 5,000 RPMs with all of their feed rates. Post processor, we don't have to worry about. Hit accept. So that's the first one. We're going to go in again, new tool. Now we're going to use a flat end mill. This flat end mill is, let's do our 3/8 first, and we'll go decreasing size. 3/8 inch end mill. Cutter, flat end mill, inches, right? So the diameter is, let's do 3 divided by 8. All right, so 0.375. Overall length, let's keep it with the 2 inches again. Length below tool holder, we could do 1.5 inches, like that. Shoulder length, and we'll keep all of that the same. Shift, click, holder, once again, a BT30. Select that. Cutting data, we're going to keep all of their parameters in. Post processor, good. Hit accept. Now we're basically going to repeat that a couple of times. So we can right-click on this, duplicate tool, go in, hit edit tool, and now we'll call this 1/4 inch. We're going to change the cutter to, we'll do number of flutes, we'll go 4 flutes. And diameter, that would be 0.25. And we'll keep everything else the same. Holder BT30 is all good. We'll accept all of their other parameters. We can right-click, duplicate that tool. And now we can go into that new tool, edit it. That's, whoops, 1/8 inch end mill. Right, cutter, we'll keep 4 flutes, 0.125 for that. We'll keep everything else the same. Keep it all going through, accept. And now we have our 3/4 inch face mill, 3/8 end mill, 1/4 inch, and 1/8 inch end mill. All right, so we can hit close, and if you want to click through and look at them, there we have it. Hit close, so everything should be good. All right, so at this point, we are set up and good to go to create all of our tool paths that we need for this. And the first thing we'll do is going to create this setup. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create our first setup to mill these pockets inside there. So you're going to click into setups here, click setup up on top, which will bring you to this menu. And we'll just click through mine. All right, so this brings up where we're going to put all of our points and our stock. So we're going to select the milling operation, and the work coordinate system with WCS we want is box point. And you're going to click this lower left-hand corner right here so that the X is this along this path, Y along that X is the Z is up. Model, click and make sure that's highlighted blue. And then for the stock, it's 3, 2, and 1 for the X, Y, Z. So we can look all around. You can see that transparent color, set that up like that. It also tells us the dimensions of the block here. That is a fixed size block. Post-process, don't have to worry about it. Leave it as 1001 and hit OK. So that sets up the first work coordinate system for the first series of operations. We'll do the next setup when we get to that point. Now what we're going to do first here is mill off the top of this. So let's take a look at the simulation here so we can see what it looks like first. So I'm going to click on it, go to simulate up on top. You can see it sets up our tool, and we'll hit play. So it's going to take off just a small amount of material on the top of the actual block. In order to do that, let's close that. Okay. So in order to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to click face up on top here. And notice in Fusion 360, when you hover over a certain thing, it tells you what the operation is. Click face, it's going to open it up to be like this. So the first thing we want to do is select our tool. So you're going to go select, library, and you're going to look for the tools you made, and we want the face mill. Hit select. You can leave these presets. Remember, we can change them later. Right now, we just want to create the toolpaths. The geometry you're going to want to select is basically we're going to do stock selection. You can leave blank and have it just do this whole top. So this is the contour of the actual block. These are the heights that we want to leave. So the bottom would be set to the model top. Right? Clearance height, basically how high the tool is going to retract up. Feed height, and then our bottom heights there. We're just going to keep this at a 0.004 tolerance. This is the step over, which is basically how much the bit is going to, or how much of the bit is going to be utilized in cutting. So that's 0.7125, and it's going to mill in both directions, which you can see here. We're going to do a high feed rate mode. We're going to preserve that. Maximum stay down distance. All of these is going to stay the same, and we hit OK. And you should generate this path. Sometimes it takes a moment to do, so if you hover over it, it'll give you the percentage of how long it took to create that face mill path. And let's hit simulate again. And that's what you should have. It should look relatively close to this. And you can adjust the settings in here to keep stock or not, make it transparent, and change the amount. I keep the toolpaths in. You don't need to show points or anything like that. Info is over here, and statistics. The next operation we're going to do is create a 2D pocket that will remove this rectangular amount of material. So we're going to go up on the top and hit 2D pocket. So click that. I'm going to bring it into mine. And what we're creating is a toolpath that looks like this. It's going to mill down. Show the simulation of that. Okay, so I'm going to do it. Let's do this. Simulate those two. Okay, I'm skipping ahead. And now here's the next one. So it does a helix down into the material. And then cuts out along this path here. We are going to leave a small amount of material around the outside edge to come in to do finishing passes, as we can see here. Okay, so 2D pocket. In. Let's click off. Edit there. for this, we are going to use a 1/4 inch flat end mill. Let's go to select, library, 1/4 inch flat end mill. Leave the stock defaults. For the geometry, you're going to want to select the pocket that you want done. So you're going to click this and click this inside edge right there. Leave all of that unchecked. The bottom, we'll leave all of this the same except for the bottom here. Go to selection, click on bottom reference, click on that, and then you're going to want to click this triangle surface right here. That. This we are going to leave the same. Finishing passes, unchecked. Max step over, keep that the same. With that, we are going to leave a small amount of stock to go around the outside, 0.02. So we can come in with a finishing pass. This is all kept like this. We don't need to change any lead-ins. We can actually change the helix ramp angle. Let's go like 5 or 6 degrees. It makes it a little bit more aggressive and down a little bit more. Hit OK. Should take a second to generate. And there's our helix. And you can see that we made it just a little bit more aggressive to go down. All right. So that was a 2D contour. For here, to get down the rest of this material, we're going to use an adaptive strategy. An adaptive strategy, what that allows you to do is basically clear more material efficiently using higher, keeping the same load on the actual tool. So let's take a look at the simulation of that. Simulate all 3 up to this point. Skip ahead. And now, let's do a helix down. Let's move the speed up. And you can see it clears out in that spiral pattern. Do it now with the 1/4 inch end mill as well. So click up here, 2D adaptive clearing. Edit. We're going to use that 1/4 inch flat end mill with the stock presets. The geometry here, pocket selections, click that. And you're going to want to click here, or right down here, that pocket selection. All unchecked for those. The bottom is to select the contour that we did there. Keeping this all the same, keeping some stock to leave. 0.02. And we are going to keep these all the same. We can actually up this to 6 degrees for the helix angle. Hit OK. And now that's your 2D adaptive. So now we've milled out this area, and we're going to go through some finishing passes to clean all this up. We're going to do a 2D contour here. And that's with an 1/8 inch. So now let's take a look at these as they simulate. Okay, facing operation, our first 2D pocket, and that. Now notice inside on here, we have some rounded edges where the tool couldn't go all the way in, and we have some stock left over. We're going to take care of that now with the 2D contour. So click here, we go right to 2D contour on top, bring it down to this one right here. We're going to go edit. We're going to use an 1/8 inch end mill, so we can go select the tool, library, 1/8 inch end mill. That'll get tighter into the corner. And we are going to select this geometry right here. Stock contours, leave that, all unchecked. To the bottom, we're going to do selection, do this face right here. Otherwise, everything else stays the same. All this, stock to leave, put in a 0 or uncheck it. Checking it and putting in 0 is the way to be. All of this stays the same. Hit OK. And let's simulate that. And play from here. You can see how it goes in. Comes around the outside and cleans it up. Gets a little bit tighter into those inside corners. There. Easy easy enough. We're going to repeat that process for this one down here. So just about the same exact setup. You could probably duplicate this setup or just create a new 2D contour up on top. Hit it. Same tool. Select that bottom contour selection. Bottom face for the height. Stock to leave, set to 0. And everything else remains the same. Hit OK. And let's simulate that. Skip ahead to the operations. And there's that bottom one right there. Yeah, just cleaning up a little bit more around those outside edges to give us the exact tolerances we need. Now finally what we're going to do is mill around the outside edge. Milling around the outside edge will allow us to give us the exact rectangular shape we want for this. It's another 2D contour. So click up into here, 2D contour. And we're going to use the 3/8 flat end mill. Contour selection. You can select this bottom edge right there, all the way around, leaving all unchecked. Well, this is good. Select the contour, was that bottom one. Roughing passes. I did this time so that it does a finishing pass as well. So the maximum step over is for the size of the bit, or for the end mill. Moving deviation, 0.004 inches. This is all left as it was, and hit OK. So for this one, we can simulate it just like this. Right, notice it leaves the rounded corners on the first pass and then comes around and then does a nice tight corner on the outside. This is where it's going to be held into the actual fixture or the vise. So we cannot mill all the way down. We're going to mill that on the second setup. We'll be able to take all that off. All right, so I would save it at this point. So we've done everything here possible for that. Now we're going to create a new setup on the opposite side here. So you're going to click Setup, and it'll bring you to this. All right, so we're going to have to flip the block over. You can hold Shift and the scroll wheel to go through those. Operation type mill. You may have to do Select XY axis. Click that, click, and then you're going to select this edge for your X, this edge for your Y, and then flip the Y axis to get that, and it should come like that. You may have to move or click your box point around to that corner there. Click on body, make sure it's selected. Same thing, we're fixed size box, X and Y, 3 inches, 2 inches, and the height for this is 0.95 inches because we took a little bit off from the top last time. Offset from the bottom, 0 inches. All right, because remember we did mill off initially in the beginning. Hit OK. So here on now this side, we are going to do 3 operations. We are going to face off the top to get to the top of the pegs, do an adaptive clearing to get all the way around them, and then a 2D contour to clean up those outside edges around those pegs. So here we go. So for the first operation, we are going to do a face and click face. Edit. All right, so we're going to go to the 3/4 inch face mill. So let's select that tool. Here, we do not actually have to select anything. It will know that it's got to go down. Stock selections. Model top. It knows it's what it's going to face to. If it doesn't, you use selection, model top. Leave all this as is. And the same thing here. Leave it all as is. That's what you get. Let's simulate that. Just like before. you go. Now let's do a 2D adaptive for this. So the 2D adaptive will clear out all around these pegs. I'm going to leave a little bit of material around them to come in with the final smoothing or finishing pass. So we're going to go to click, 2D adaptive clearing, edit. Okay, we want the 3/8 flat end mill. Right here, library, 3/8. So for here, you can click this surface. So pocket selection, click the surface. Click on stock contours, because that is from the actual material. Select the contours, it was already at the bottom. Leaving this all the same, stock to leave, we're going to leave it as 0.02. Make sure it's checked. And keep all of this the same. We can actually helix a little bit more, 6 degrees. A second. And there we go. Let's simulate that. And there we have it. So now the green is still a little left. So let's go clean up some of that with a 2D contour. 2D contour, click on top, edit, same thing, 3/8 flat end mill, keep all those. Geometry, I come in and select the bottom edge of every single one of those. This lets the machine know it has to go around all of them. Stock contours, keep that checked. All these are all good. If it does not have the selected contours at the bottom, it should. Keep all of this as is. We're not doing any roughing passes. We're not doing this in multiple depths. Keep this the way it needs to be. And there you have it. So if we look at this, let's simulate it. So it's our facing, our 2D adaptive. I'll play it from there. You can see now how it goes around every single one. Cleaning up. So if you notice, we have this little bit of a bump. So we're actually going to change this so to get rid of all of that. And we'll do that. We go into the adaptive. We go edit, stock to leave. Let's try 0. Simulate. There we go. It's perfect. So now, as you can see, changing that axial stock to leave, the 2D adaptive cleared off everything. So let's just go there again, just take a look. Click on it, right click, edit. Axial stock to leave, it's basically that height up and down, was set to 0. And there you have it. That is the part fully machined all the way through, using some face milling, some 2D pockets, adaptive contours along the way. All right, on to the next part. Take care. Bye.